We'll get started. Welcome to the Seamless Onboarding Automated with Xero webinar. Begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land from which we are meeting and gathering from all over Australia, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and respect any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders that are here today. I'll try and keep it on point and short, concise, and everyone can ask some questions at the end. I know that all firms do a little bit differently, so it's important to understand that, and that, you know, we'll go through the process and then there'll be lots of questions, and then hopefully we can answer them at the end to how that might fit best for your business. Today, you've got the three hosts: myself, Seamlss founder, accounting and bookkeeping owner for Business Edge Advisors for almost 10 years. And we've got Emily Patterson as the Xero Partnership Manager for the App Store. Was it all apps? And all apps. Yeah. And we've got Daniel Steinhauser. He's also on the moderation side of things, going to be in the chats. He's the founder of Seamlss, an expert web developer for Web Matrix. You might actually know a bit of his work if you've bought a virtual pink seat ticket at the Glenn McGrath Foundation for the pink test. He's behind that. Yeah, we'll get started. So he's obviously also behind Seamlss. So
thank you.
And yeah, hand it over to Emily.
Awesome, thank you. I didn't know that, Daniel. That's awesome. Yeah, my name's Emily Patterson. I'm the partnerships manager here at Xero. I hope I just enabled the chat. So if someone could just let me know whether that's coming through the chat, or we might just have to use the Q&A box today. But yeah, my background is I was a chartered accountant. I worked for Big Four in New Zealand, and then I moved across to Xero 3 years ago. Yay! Thanks, Michelle. Hey, Vicky. We're live, team. This is great. I then moved into the partner consulting team. So that is the team that sort of implements our practice tools, the Xero practice tools. And then I've moved into this partnership manager role about a year ago. I just wanted to quickly run through sort of Xero App Store, what it looks like. If you've been in the Xero community for a while, you've probably heard about the ecosystem, but I sort of just wanted to run through that today. So yeah, we've got over 1,000 different apps, which enables you to have choice and opportunity on which apps fit in your workflow and your client's workflow as well. So that lets Xero focus on what Xero does well, and then our ecosystem, it makes innovation go faster with our ecosystem working on the different things that makes your life easier as well. So there is App Store certification. So any of the apps that sit on our App Store go through a certification process with us, which just sort of means that the integration works seamlessly and nicely. And there is also a lot of security that goes around that with the 2FA and things. So you can be rest assured that all the information in your data is, when it comes from Xero to our apps, it's also as safe and secure as possible. Client verification, I'll let the experts talk to that side of things. I just know that from what we get told from the ATO, that there is a lot more focus going on that client verification, and Clayton was just mentioning that it is best practice to be doing all of that sort of thing. So and which we don't currently do at Xero, so that's why looking to the ecosystem for that kind of functionality is, so you're in the right place. That's all from me. I'll hand back to you, Clayton.
Thank you. So we'll get started with our agenda. So I guess the first thing is, with a quick poll, we just wanted to see how it is that you're doing your onboarding now. Like, is it by paper, email, is it a web form, maybe it's some other web app, or some other way that you're doing your onboarding process? Thanks to everyone for participating. And once that's sort of done, does that get shared? I believe. Yep. So you'll be able to see how everyone else is doing it. You're not alone. We're all doing it in different ways, and that's okay. It's just about how can we improve it. So basically, there's a few different ways there. As you see, there's obviously the manual way. Some people are doing it by paper, and paper's okay, but it can be quite slow. Some people are doing it in person or over the phone, collecting those details. It just takes more time. You might miss data, get confused data. It's just taking up unnecessary admin time more than anything. You might have a process-driven ability where it's being email-driven, maybe using a WordPress form or an overseas app, some sort of Typeform style thing, or some other time-consuming app that's taking up your time. Because if you're using email, it's obviously unsecure. It's definitely not best practice. You shouldn't be getting any TFNs on email. It's generally not a good point to go to the ATO with. WordPress is a very difficult program to maintain security at. So I'm sure if you've got a WordPress website, it's probably getting people trying to break into it all the time. But overall, I think the key is with that process is how are you making that as seamless as possible? And obviously verification, that's the next step. With the verification, the ATO requirements, it's all in place. Best practice to go and get that from the clients. Being that we're in a very digital online world now, we can work anywhere, business by design. So having those processes in place to make it flow really seamlessly is super important. There's lots of apps out there now that are doing different verification. Usually it's a bit disjointed because you'll be going from one app to another and the data's just not flowing as a part of that onboarding process for the client. And obviously if you're doing it in person, you can verify a person in front of you and ask for their license. Usually if it's an admin team member, that could be quite confronting and that could be a bit overwhelming to be asking the clients when they're right in front of you, yeah, I just need your license so I can identify you, verify and take down some details and make some notes that I did verify you and I can check that against the ATO. So it can be a bit intimidating. So that's where something like Seamlss does come in and it can help. A few years ago, I read the 4-Hour Work Week book, about 5 years ago. So never automate something that can be eliminated and never delegate something that can be automated or streamlined. Otherwise, you're wasting someone else's time instead of your own, which now wastes your hard-earned money. So we're all firm owners. We've all maybe an accountants on there or bookkeepers, and that's fine too. But we're all busy. So we've all probably got a lot better things to do than chase clients for information. So as part of that 4-Hour Work Week or our Work Week book, the goal is to eliminate, automate, or delegate. So if you're eliminating, non-value adding tasks, just because you've always done it that way, is that why you always have to keep doing it? Well, sometimes you just got to question that, and you might just go, well, we don't need to do that task anymore. Onboarding is clearly something you can't get rid of because we want to get more clients. But automating it is important. Anything you can automate, obviously that process in the business, it just saves time, gets more efficiency. The team as a whole will just get better outcomes. Worst case scenario, you're going to have to delegate it, and then you're wasting their time doing something that could have been automated. And then the very last scenario, you have to do it yourself. And yes, that's the end result. So I'll just jump straight into today's demo. We're going to share. Did we share the results from the poll? Did that come up? There we go. I don't know where that comes. Hopefully someone can see that. I'm going to jump into Seamlss now. So basically, you can onboard Seamlss through the Xero App Store. Find us in the App Store. We've got 5-star reviews. Don't be shy if you want to leave another one if you're happy with us. Log in. I love login with Xero. If you're using BGL or Ignition, those tools have been using it for a few years. It just makes it so much easier. You're already in Xero. Just click in, bang, you're away. So this is the dashboard. One of the key things with Seamlss is we tried to make it as easy as possible for you to onboard yourself as a firm. It's all fairly straightforward and simple. Upload your logo, have some branding colors so that your communications feel like they're coming from your brand. They are Seamlss-based emails. But when someone replies to an email, that will go back to your organization by here. Obviously, you can put your own business name in there. Integrations wise, Zapier is probably the most complicated part to connect up, but we did create a little guide there for you to step through Zapier onboarding. Xero Practice Manager, hopefully everyone's connected XPM to an app before. It is really easy. The OAuth 2 authentication part of the app just all links and talks and makes it really easy. So boom, that's it, it's connected. That's how hard it was. Adding users, we don't have a limit on users. You can add as many users as you need, but it's recommended to limit it within security still. Like not everyone needs access to everything. So adding the types of users that you need is important, and you might find that you just get the people that need it on the platform. There is also the ability to get notifications. So once someone's completed their onboarding process, whoever's going to action it, we want them to get that email. Then the next bit with onboarding your firm, you've got some templates. So you can have some welcome emails to clients. We've got a request information template. We actually took that away, requesting information from clients, but if we get some demand and you all want to use Seamlss to request data and documents from clients, shoot us through and let us know, and we'll come back and add that feature back again. Email signature, it's pretty obvious. Add your signature to all the emails that go out to the clients. Now the document is your engagement letter. So client signing engagement letter onboarding means that you can add them to the ATO portal, that you've got some engagement level to do what you need to do to get started. For some people, they only sign overall terms and conditions. For simplicity, if you're using something like Ignition, just copy the terms and conditions from that, like I did, and paste it in here. This is all fully editable. It's got a basic editor up here, so you can add your own customization so it looks how you want it to look on this side to the client. This is the basic template that you get with Seamlss, and it does talk about third-party bits, IT infrastructure, if you're a super fund advisor. So you need to edit it to be your own firms, basically, but I'm sure you've already got an engagement letter because we're all engaging clients all the time. This help area is just the area of the tokens that you can use to create your comms and your email signature, things like that. So nothing too exciting with the settings. Hopefully that's fairly straightforward and simple enough for most people. The dashboard's kind of where you'll hang out. Like once you set up, it's pretty straightforward. If you've got Zapier set up like I do, I use Calendly Pro. I've seen some clients utilize other calendar apps or they may have used Pipedrive, I think it is. And that Zapier automatically imports the basic client details you need to onboard someone. So you just click review onboarding, comes up with their name, email, phone number, tick the entities that you want to onboard, whether you want to onboard them with Stripe, or maybe you want to get a bit of tax return data. Maybe you've engaged them in some other way. So some firms have turned off engagement letter signing, and that's fine. It's whatever your process is. I utilize this for onboarding, so I get them all my clients to sign it. And then you can send that onboarding request out. And so that's just a couple of clicks of the button. If it's all automated, that's how quick and easy it is. If you're not using Zapier or a Calendly booking form, that's okay. It's really fairly straightforward to onboard a client. Insert the basic details. There's not a whole lot to it. Just going to get this out of the way. And then this is just a temporary email that I'm going to use for today. We're going to request a Stripe and add the client. Well, let's get a company as well. Add the client. So this is just going to send an onboarding request. Yes, it's my dummy client, but the data, oh, this is already in there. Come back here. Right. There's Rod now. So there's his basic details that we've imported via Zapier or keyed in ourselves. Obviously, the key data is missing because Rod has to onboard. Just give me 1 second. When the email comes through, here's my email. So just going to bring this up now. Hopefully you can still see my screen. I'm going to get a secure code. So the client goes to log in. This is the client side. They get a code. I've just got the code on my phone. And I can log in. This is as a client. Client goes through, adds in their details. Obviously, I'm just rushing through for demonstration purposes, but hopefully clients will take a little bit, go a little bit faster or slower and make sure that it's all correct. You can have your postal address as well if you want. The tax file number. Oops, it does verify tax file numbers. So if the tax file number is incorrect, it won't actually work. one for Xero there. So it does have a validator for the bank as well, for the clients to make sure that it's coming through right. Well, that's my phone number. Doesn't allow it to be in there twice because 2FA. The company, ACN, EBN. Not all of these fields are required, but generally the ones that we want will be required. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for everyone as well. Oh, no, this is Westpac. Oh, there you go. That's okay. You can put your actual account name in there. So that's how easy it is for them to onboard a company and their individual details. Now we'll start the verification process. This is all in the app via Stripe. I'm going to upload a file. I'm going to use my driver's license. You can use the webcam on your computer, but because we're using it right now, I'm going to upload the documents. Accept and continue. I'll choose some files. Bring that over here. Not everyone needs to see all my junky files. Seamlss. Upload the document. You can see how good condition my license is. That's obviously fake data. I'm clearly better looking than that in person. Once that's good, looks good. So obviously clients are doing the exact same thing, uploading documents, taking photos. You can just hold your license up to the webcam and it'll actually take that in. It's fantastic. So this is a part of the verification process handled by Stripe Verify, which is clearly a global processor. Looks good. Continue the camera. I'm going to allow it. I don't know if this bit's going to work. Camera error because we're using it. Let's see if it works with my phone. Allow. I'm just giving access to my camera now. Just going to give it more licenses. I'm just taking some photos of the licenses and it's processing on my phone, which is much the same as what we've just seen. If we weren't using this camera on Zoom, we could have done it on the computer, but it makes sense that why it won't work. Now it's going to take a selfie. So it's just taking a photo. So hopefully you can see the camera's on, and then it's going to take some photos of me. And then Stripe's going to go off and analyze that data. You can still see it doing it on there on my device on the screen. Move it around too much. So it's pretty good that it does take the photo, sends it to Stripe. Stripe's going to check that against my license to see whether the pictures look alike and whether I'm a real person. It's all submitted, so you can see it's all in real time. Let's save that, continue, and then you've got the engagement letter that the client's going to sign. Old Rod's going to sign it here. You can manually sign it. I'm sure this is exactly what it looks like. A bit of fun there, and signing on behalf of the company and Rod himself. Sign, that's going to save the document. Once that's completed, that's packaging all up all the data and getting it ready for the firm. And then now that it's completed, the client can go back to their own area. You can see everything's ticked off. So that's a win. And then if you go back to your dashboard, start again as a firm. Imagine you've got an email, says, oh, yeah, Rod's finished his onboarding. So now it's over here to be actioned. So we can either mark it as complete or push the data to XPM. So I just want to show you what it looks like. Here's Rod over here. Here's all the data that we've captured for today. And then if I go to identity verification, here's the Stripe verification. Let's have a quick review of that. Here's the documents. This is what I look like. Sure is. And then you get to pick, according to the ATO's guidelines of how you verify the person. And then you select what method you chose. We've already defaulted the electronic methods because you're using Stripe. So I'm going to certify that. Did it come back with results? It's still processing. So I'll just wait on that because it's going to process and it should say no because clearly it's a fake license. Imagine it come back as a no, and you can actually request another one via Seamlss. So you can just go out and send another request to the client and then they can verify themselves. And you might be able to say, hi, they'll get their templated email, please upload your notice of assessment. Maybe you should write notice because they probably don't know what you're talking about. For 2021. So the client can then get that email, get the request, use Seamlss, take a photo of the notice assessment, you'll get the request, it'll come back in here, and then you can verify them via that method. Because there is several ways that you can verify a client. This is obviously here for the admin team or the onboarding team. And click on that, and it tells you how you can verify the client. So you've got you can visually do it in person, use source documents. So if you haven't used Stripe, you can get some source documents from the client. If you use Stripe, the document verification service, you do that, and you also need to check that the data the client's given you is correct against some of the ATO documents or data. So when you onboard them on the ATO portal, the team member needs to check that, go, yeah, this is a real person, this stuff matches, I'm reasonably sure this is a verified client. Yes, Stripe verifies their identity, but it's not verifying that they are who they say they are. There are people, obviously, that will get around certain things. So it's important to remember that the ATO's requirement is that you are reasonably sure they are who they say they are. So that's a part of the process. And that's why when you're looking on here, you can see this and using those methods of what you're choosing to do. The other key part of Seamlss is pushing the data XPM. So obviously saving time, getting some automation. All of the XPM API points that are available, that's what we're using. So I'm going to use a new client, sync that data, and then you can even view the client straight in XPM. Click the button, pops open, and as you can see, there's Rod right now. So if this was tax return time, ITR, let's get started. It's that quick, that simple, that easy to get going. We will get more data points and more access over time. Probably the other one that you want to see is the company as well. You can sync the new company entity. So with Seamlss, it's not just onboarding the person and confirming their identity, you're also onboarding their entities. They might have a trust, partnership, whatever that looks like. And yeah, you want to onboard all of them. Here's all of the forms that they filled out. So here's the company, here's the details, bank details, things that you might need. Here's the documents. So you can also download those forms that I filled out or get the engagement letter. Here's the engagement letter. Down. There it is signed. All the details and the stamp. Back over here. You've also got a full history of what's happened with that client. And you can also delete the client as well if you're no longer happy with that person. But your dashboard is also where you might hang out here as well. You can send a reminder. So let's be realistic, not all clients action everything straight away. You might get them to book in, which is my process. They book in for a meeting, the team member sends out the request, they don't fill it in, they come in a few days, you resend the request, or you can SMS remind them, and then they'll get a reminder SMS to say, hey, look at your emails, we've sent you a Seamlss onboarding request so that you can onboard them. With Business Edge Advisors, we onboard them, they come in, they have a meeting, we're already on the ATO portal, we're already seeing where they're up to. Are they GST registered? Are they behind on their BASs? Are they on top of their BASs? Are they good payers? Do they pay on time? Another important one to check out. Yeah, so I think it's just about how are you utilizing all of Seamlss. Probably should go back to my notes and make sure I've ticked everything off. I think we're all pretty good there. Is there any dying questions while we're in the app? Daniel? Nope. We can always come back, don't stress. So I think the key points back today with what I was getting at with Seamlss is eliminate. So utilizing Zapier, it imports that basic details, click a couple buttons, sends off the request. The data flows. The clients are keying in all the data. The more the client keys in, the less work for you. And that's that eliminate part. You're just eliminating it. They're signing the engagement letter. So again, you're not having to get them to sign more engagement letters again. Don't get me wrong, we use Practice Ignition, and we onboard, I check them all out, and then we send them a proposal, and they still sign another engagement letter in there. That's fine. The other key important part is keeping the data secure. So keeping it off email, keeping it off insecure websites, things like that. Automate, I already touched on that with the clients. Automating that client verification. So utilizing things like Stripe to do it for you, and then verifying against the ATO portal, and then injecting that data straight into XPM, ready to use. Way you go. And lastly, delegate. Obviously, pick a team member that can action this quickly and easily as a part of that verification process. And thanks. You got any questions, people, everyone? Does it need to be an XPM? No, you don't need to be. Oh, yes, I believe it does. Data will flow to Xero Tax. They're the same process. I just say XPM. I'm sorry. I probably should start saying Xero Tax on the website because that would help people. Makes sense.
There's also one more question from Sarah in the chat around associated documents as well. I don't know if you can see that one.
Yes. So that is on our timeline of tasks to add. Yes. Daniel's just commented. It's coming. So it's on our, what's the word? Roadmap. A part of that process is that I want to be able to collect up those documents to enable that onboarding, especially things like trustees and stuff. So, trying to think of some other questions that people would have. I think that's about it. I think the key for me is just that everyone understands that if you can eliminate and automate half of that process and getting it away from some clunky piece of paper, that's the win. And that's what a lot of people said. Clients on board the final engagement docs available as a PDF. Yes, that is. So I probably went too fast. I apologize. I do talk too fast. So if you see in Rod, he's already done. Here's the documents. So you can view the engagement letter, which is already here, which we talked about. And then you can save these documents as well, which is their details pages. Again, it's on our roadmap. We do want to handle those files onto another app platform that we all use, which I have been talking to Patrick, and he did tell me that the top apps that people are using. So we will be working towards making that more automated because I'm all about the automation. Any other questions? I think we're pretty good. Half an hour. Hopefully I didn't take up too much of everyone's time.
I think just Vicky's one. Does the client see the PDF as well? Does that have a...
No.
Yeah.
Do people think that clients, do clients see the... I don't think they do they, Daniel? Do they have a need?
No, they don't at the moment. They just complete it and then off to the accountant to meet and go from there.
Would everyone think that that's a requirement? I don't know. If there's a requirement or someone thinks there's a need, I mean, the option is you could just email it. I think nice document 30. Yeah, I agree. I mean, probably we could add that in as an option for them to download. Steiny, Daniel will put that on the list. Yeah, I guess the option is you can email it if they ask for it. It is stamped. It is stamped with the time that they've signed it and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. I wonder if this is finished. Still processing. So the Stripe verify might take a little bit of time because it's done by Stripe, not by us. And I think that one might take a bit longer because it is a fake license. So can you add multiple? Not yet. One of Daniel's high priority lists is to add multiple items to a single request. But you can request another company. So I can send Rod another request for another company. So he can have multiple companies. Daniel just needs to adjust some code somewhere. I'm sure it's just as simple as that to add multiple companies. So yes, that's on our short-term fixes.
There's a question around customizing questions, such as getting director ID.
No, we don't have a singular form customization. So one of the key things with Seamlss that we built was just to try and keep it as simple and straightforward as processable as possible without too much customization. You probably think, oh, you should be able to customize it. Well, if you customize everything, it doesn't allow us to handle the data and pass it on and automate that process. Generally, most things you're collecting the same data from clients. So if we've got that contained, then we can handle it a lot easier. We are looking to add some customizable features in that regard in some other areas soon. But you do ask for their director ID in here when you actually onboard them. So as you're onboarding, you should be able to ask for that. No, we don't have multiple signatories because it is onboarding the client and not the entity specifically. Everything's client oriented. It's a personal because you are identifying the person and then their companies. We haven't added the ability to add multiple entities to multiple people or one entity to multiple people. Is that what you're sort of getting at, Vicky? So some of the fields are mandatory because at the end of the day, the whole point of onboarding is to get them on board. Some of the fields are not mandatory because sometimes they may not be applicable. So think of like trust with a trustee company. The trustee company TFN is not mandatory because the trust will have the TFN. So sometimes there's some little intricacies like that that'll adjust that part. We need some more function before subscribing. Okay. Both directors should authorize acceptance of the engagement. Right. I guess the key is you could onboard both directors and they're both signing the same engagement letter, or different but same. They're both engaged you individually to engage the company. I'll talk to Daniel about that after. Thanks for the feedback, Vicky. Any other questions? Thanks for all the questions in the chats and joining us today.
I'll just maybe run that last poll around if anyone wants to hear more about.
Thanks. So we don't get your details from this webinar unless you put your details into the poll that Emily's putting up. So if you want to hear from Seamlss, select yes. Otherwise, yeah, we're not going to harass you for anything. But obviously, if you just want to sign up, you can do that too. Yeah, excellent. I really appreciate everyone and for your time today and questions. Hopefully you found some value in today, not just with Seamlss, but how you're going to automate your onboarding for the future. I think that's about it. Emily, any other questions? Daniel? All good?
No, all good. Thank you very much for having me. Good to see everyone and cool to see the product in real life. It's great.
Thank you.
All right, I'll end the poll there as long as everyone's had a chance to answer. Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks. You were just end the-
Thanks, Steve. See ya.